Okay, so introduction to radar systems. So what is meant by radar? So some of you might have already studied in the extra subject. So these radar systems. So those maybe already got these concepts, I think. So those who are having first time, so even you can look at those who have already studied. So some of the important problems and what are all the components of this radar system, how it evolves. So we're going to study. So what is radar system? So radar, so you already know that expansion, which is radio detection and ranging. The radio, in the sense whatever the frequency signal, RF signals, you will going to send from the transmitter to the target side. Okay, so detection means you have to detect either something, so maybe it may be a target or it may be a some small things, whether it is a uh, inside some person, you have to find it out. So all these, whatever the things you will going to find it out or detect, so that will call it as the targets, or this process of finding those targets, will call it as detection. And ranging, so how much distance from the transmitter, whatever you going to send the signals from the transmitter side, how much distance it is there, that thing or whatever the findings will going to see, how much distance it is there, so that is ranging. So if you come to the history of this radar systems, so first as you know already, Clark Maxwell, James Clark Maxwell, so he discovered the electromagnet, that means he uh, wrote the theory on electromagnetic waves. So later that existence of that electromagnetic waves is proved by the Hertz, by the experimentation using dipole experiment. Okay, so later, so Marconi established the communication. Even J.C. Bose so experimented on millimeter wave systems. So after this, the World War II came. So this radar especially, so they have designed it for military purpose and stealth technology. Okay, so in the military purpose, so we need to find the whatever the enemy target, so wherever it is, the enemies are there, so we need to find it out them and we have to destroy them. So and also from them we have to protect our system. So in that type of situation, so where the Second World War happened, so at that time these radars came into so very much existence. And also so many types of radars have been developed in the different laboratories, labs of the worldwide. Okay, so after this World War II, so these radar systems developing very fast, and even nowadays also this many applications they will use the radar system. Say for example, remote sensing, weather control, and even aircraft landing, and ship whatever the navigation system, ship whatever ship safety. And this in military purpose also they will use to detect the target. And also say for example, uh, one of the best example is for the phased control, that is phased array radar system, that will going to find the target at a particular distance. And also another example, if you say the through wall radar system, so inside some there is a building, so inside that building there will be some persons or terrorists who are there. So if you want to going to find where exactly the location of those persons, and if you want to target them, so this will be very much useful. So through wall radar system. So like the different types of radar systems which are designed and developed based on the so requirements. Okay, so those are some of the brief introduction about the history and also the applications. So we'll going to see what are all the applications are there, what are all the frequency ranges this radar system can be designed, how it can be designed, and what are all the components of this radar system, and also and all those things. Okay, so basically the basic principle of this radar is that it sends an electromagnetic signal to a particular target, and it will, so since the target, it will reflect the energy. So by collecting that energy at the receiver, so we can able to estimate so many parameters of this target. Okay, so what are all those parameters of the target, we'll see. So the basic principle is, first you need to send the electromagnetic wave, so in some form, either it may be pulsed form or it may be continuous form. So any form, first you need to send the signal to the target and then receive that whatever the reflected energy, and based on this transmitted and reflected energy or reflected wave, you will going to find the position of the target or the range of the target and also other parameters of the target. So now what are all the information we can able to get from the received echo signal? Okay, so whatever the reflected wave from the target, so what are the information we can able to get it? So as I said, range, at what distance this target is there, we can able to get, and what is the size of the target and shape of the target, whether it is a spherical or whether it is any other shape like that, that also we can get. But precise design and many sensitive factors are there, we need to take care to exactly find out the shape of the target. So and also the resolution, so high resolution means, so whenever you find the target, so that should be precisely say that the target is there. So otherwise you may be misfire or mislead that whether it is target, if it is not there then it will mislead. So like that, the resolution of the different types of resolution are there, like frequency resolution and range resolution. So those are the resolutions with high resolution things required for the detection, properly detect the target. Okay, and this target information, so it obtained through different parameters, as I said. So one is range, and also at what angle from the transmitter this target is there. Okay, the range and the angle of the based on the reflected signal. Okay, so based on the angle of arrival of the reflected signal, we can able to find out the range and the angle at which this target is positioned. Okay, in the case of stationary target. And if it is moving, so if the target is moving, so then we can able to see by using the special parameter which is called as Doppler shift. So that will change the frequency of the reflected wave when it is moving. So due to the path the length variation of this target, so then the frequency shift will happen for the reflected signal. So by measuring that frequency shift, so then we can able to estimate the moving target, and you can separate the target with respect to the stationary targets. Okay, so that are all the information. So these are all the information we can able to obtain from the target. So as I said, so the angle which we need to find, so from the transmitter, so that will be required by the, so the directive antenna. So what is meant by directive antenna? So you might be heard, or you might be studied already what is directive antenna. The antenna of the directivity of the antenna will be very high. That means it will be having a very sharp beam. Okay, so whatever, if your antenna if you place here, okay, at the maybe the transmitter side, the beam will be very narrow. Okay, so the half power beam width will be very narrow for this. Okay, so this is the very narrow beam. By using this narrow beam or directive antenna, we can able to find the angle at which this target is positioned. Okay, so directive antenna, how we can design. So maybe you can use the parabolic reflector, so the dish antenna, because of this aperture size, you will going to get the directivity high. So you might have known the directivity equation. It will be depend on the effective aperture of this dish. So you can able to find out the directivity. So if you go on increasing this aperture size, so obviously this the directivity will going to increase. So that's why in many of the communication system where we need a sharp beam, so you will find the dish antenna, or it maybe you can find the array antenna, so like that. Okay, so even in satellite communications also you can able to see this large dish antennas. Okay, so that is what the angle location can be designed, that is you can find out by using the directive antenna. So now as I said, stationary target or moving target. So if it is a stationary, so by just estimating the the reflected wave, so you can able to find out the range and angle. So if it is a moving target, so as I said, you need to use of the Doppler effect, so that will shift the frequency of the signal when it is moving, so due to the path length variation from the transmitter, so that will predict the trajectory of the target which is moving. So the frequency shift, so from one position to other position we need to measure, and based on that frequency shift, so we need to find out the trajectory of the target. Okay, so you can see the animation here. So whatever it is transmitting, and it is whatever the reflected back the signal which is reflecting, and it is collected by the antenna. So whenever it is the signal which is coming back to the receiver, so the target will be find out here. So here it is transmitting, and after some time, so you will going to find the target. So the time taken by the transmitted signal and reflected signal, it can be measured. Okay, so this is about the introduction, so how we can able to find out. So now coming to the factors, what are all the factors which actually determine the target. Okay, so one of the important parameter is RCS, that is radar cross section. So the radar cross section means the whenever the signal it is transmitted to the target and it is reflected by the target, so how much the power which is intercepted by the target, so and the reflected wave which is received by the signal, so the area which is intercepted by the target, so that will call it as the radar cross section. Okay, and the other parameters which will be affected, it is the polarization. So this is very important parameter, because when we transmit the signal, the how the the orientation of the field, whatever the electromagnetic wave you will going to send, so that will be very important. So if it is vertically polarized or horizontally polarized, so whenever you send the vertically polarized and target which will reflect it back, so if it is designed for vertically polarized, so then it will receive only the vertically polarized wave, so the probability of detection will be very less. So even so, that's why, so in many of the communication system, either it can be used vertical or horizontal, or in special application they will use the circularly polarized wave. So if it is used, if you use the circularly polarized wave, what will happen, so it will be in the circular nature, so it will contain both vertical and horizontal component, so that's why it will be receiving at least 50% of the power. Okay, so that's why in special applications they will use the polarization techniques to detect the target. And the frequency, so as I said, so whatever the design frequency we need to send the signal, so that frequency dependency will be there, so that is also one of the important factor. And there are two types of target detection. Okay, so that is the radar systems which are there. So whenever you transmit the signal and received by the signal in different receiver, like this is transmitter and this is receiver, if there are two different antennas, it will be used for transmitter and receiver, so then it will be called as bistatic. Okay, so if the same antenna is used for transmitter as well as the receiver, then it will be called as monostatic radar. Okay, so and also what are the other important parameters, so as I said, the for the target, especially the size, shape, and also material, because this material may be designed to uh, not to reflect the energy, and also it will reflect the maximum energy. That depends on the material of the target, whatever the material which will be used for the target. And also orientation, so it depends on the orientation of the target also. So based on all these parameters, we will going to detect the target estimation and the range of the target and also the angle. Okay, so this is about the monostatic and bistatic and some of the important parameters. So for finding out the resolution, that range resolution, so which is quietly as good as possible, it requires large bandwidth. Okay, so in order to find out the good range resolution, it requires large bandwidth, and also the angle resolution, it requires electrically large antennas. So if you want like narrow beam, so the resolution should be good. So in order to find out exact location of the target, so we need electrically large antennas. Okay, so now, so as you are finding out the target, so you will be having the two different range resolution. So that is cross range resolution and down range resolution. So generally this cross range resolution is not possible compared to down range resolution, so because of the different factors, because the cross range resolution, it is uh, from the uh, antenna beam, so it is very difficult to find out both the resolution. This cross range resolution can be resolved by using the different techniques that will be called it as the synthetic aperture radar. So that will be actually image the complete target, so then we can able to see where exactly the target it is. So that will be, so example for the uh, finding out the cross range resolution, and that cross range resolution can be resolved. Okay, so as I said, if the target is in the relative motion, so if it is the target is moving, so then the individual parts of the target and radar, so then by using Doppler frequency shift, as I said, so if you move the target, so the frequency shift it will happen due to the path which is traveled by the target and different position it is received by the signal. So that shift, frequency shift, so that will be, so resolve this cross range resolution. So that actual Doppler shift it is used in the, so one of the radar which is called as synthetic aperture radar. So that what it will happen, so if you have like if you have target here, so this completely images the, so the path, so whatever the target is there, so it will completely image uh, the target in the synthetic aperture radar, so that the target can be easily find out by using this Doppler frequency shift. So and also we can use to detect even large targets also, as well as the, that is large range targets also, and also small range targets also. So even with this radar system, even with the range is small or large, we can able to detect it. So but with the large range, so you need to take care of the so many factors. So even in the environment like clutter environment, fog environment, so many factors are there, so in determining the large range detection, so that will be discussed later. Okay, so and also these radars, so what are the frequency ranges can be able to design, so some few megahertz to optical region, till that frequency you can able to design the radar systems. Okay, and this as I said, this radars varies with specifications like frequency range and other parameters like target size, shape, and also so the application which is able, which we have to design the radar. So specification of this radar varies with respect to the application. Okay, so now these radars which is originally developed for military surveillance and weapon control, so these were originally which is developed in the time of the Second World War, so as I said, and also developed for civilian applications like weather prediction, ship safety, and remote sensing applications also. So now from using nowadays from using that radars, we can able to find out the weather control. So what actually whether tsunami and other temperature variations and pressure variations, all these things we can able to predict. Today's we can use these radars to predict those things. Okay, so now the simple form of the radar, so what are all it contains, so it will contain the transmitting antenna and receiving antenna, so in terms of bistatic radar case, or if you use the single antenna, it will be in the monostatic case. And an oscillator, so to convert it to a modulated waveform, and also at the receiver side we need to down convert, and we have to get back the signal, and the energy detecting device or receiver. Okay, so this is the minimum components it is uh, developed at the time of the World War. So these are the minimum components required for the design of the radar. So now if you transmit the signal, and it will intercept the target, and it will give back the energy back to the receiver, and by finding out the time taken by the transmitted signal and also the received signal here. So whenever you transmit here, okay, so the time taken by the signal to transmit from transmitter to target, and the target to the again back to the receiver, so that time we'll call it as a round trip time. Okay, the time which is taken by the signal to transmit from transmitter to target, and the target which is reflected, the reflected wave which is received by the receiver, so that time which will be call it as a round trip time. Okay, so that will be the time which is taken by the minimum time which is taken by the signal to reach the target, and so it will be received by the receiver. So now the energy which is re-radiated back to the receiver, so that is the actual interest of the radar. By estimating that signal, so we can able to estimate the target. So that is the distance, because so whenever it is reflected back, so that will be given the distance, so whichever where the target is exactly located. So the distance to the target is determined measuring the time taken for the radar signal to travel to the target and back, so that will be called as round trip time. Okay, so now the direction and angular position of the target may be determined from the direction of the arrival of the reflected wavefront. So as I said, the angular position using the narrow beam antennas, either it may be dish antennas or it may be the phased array antennas, which requires very narrow beam, so that will be used and to find out the angular position of the target. So the measurement of range is the one of the basic primary parameter or important parameter of the radar. Okay, and what are the types of waveforms so we can able to send from the transmitter side. Okay, so the most common radar waveform is a train of narrow rectangular shaped pulses. Okay, and those are modulated by the sine wave carrier. Okay, so you can send like this triangular, that is rectangular pulses. Okay, so this will be the basic form of the waveform which will be used for the used to send the signal from the transmitter, which is the rectangular shape pulses. So as you know, in the already the communication systems, so this will be like on and off signal, so which will be modulated using high frequency carrier. So you might have studied that ASK, amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, like that. So we need to modulate this signal using high frequency carrier, and then we have to send the signal to the target. So now whenever it is received, so again we have to demodulate and process that signal and find out the energy received by the reflected signal. Based on that, so we need to set the threshold. So if the received signal power which is based on the threshold, if it is greater than that, we can say that the target is there, that the target is detected, otherwise the target is not there. So like that, so we need to so get the signals power or reflected signal, so then we can able to see so whether the target is there or not. So now as I said, so this is actually the range can be uh, measured using the time which is taken to travel from the transmitter to the target, and whatever the target reflected signal which is received at the receiver, that is called as the round trip time. So based on this round trip time, we can able to estimate the distance or range of the target. So this is the round trip time. Okay, so this we'll call it as round trip time and measured in seconds. Okay, so now c is the velocity. So since the electromagnetic waves which will travel as like the speed of velocity, that is speed of light, so the velocity of the electromagnetic wave which is traveled, which is same as the speed of light, so we include that c, so which is equal to 3 into 10 power 8, okay, meter per second. So why this 2 in the denominator? Because it is two-way round. Okay, so from the transmitter to target and target to the again receiver. So that's why it is 2. So this is the range of the target which is determined. Okay, so now range can be, so in two terms we can able to find it out. So range in kilometers and as well as range in nautical miles. Okay, so generally in the military purpose this nautical mile is used. So 1 nautical mile which is equal to 1.8, so 5 kilometer. Okay, so 1 nautical mile which will be given by this much kilometer. So now you can convert kilometer to nautical mile and nautical mile to kilometer. So now with range in kilometers or nautical miles, so how with TR in microseconds. Generally this round trip time we can send the transmitted signal very narrow pulses. So it will be in the microseconds. So the range in kilometers given by this equation. Okay. So which is 0.15 into TR, and in nautical miles it is 0.081 into TR. Okay. So now the rate at which the pulses may be transmitted is determined by the longest range at which target is expected. That means, so if the pulses which will going to transmit, so what rate we are going to transmit, so that decides and determine the longest range, how much distance we can able to send the signal. So the targets also expected within that range. So that can be able to so determined. So now another important parameter, so which is pulse repetition frequency. So now if the pulse repetition frequency is too high, so these echo signals from some target might arrive after the transmission of the next pulse. So that means, so if this pulse repetition frequency, so whatever we transmit the signal, that rectangular pulses. Okay, so from the transmitter if you transmit and target is there. Okay, so now first pulse, if you transmit the first pulse, okay, it will going to reach the target and it will reflected back. So now since the range of the target maybe we don't know how much it is, so the reflection before it arrives the reflected signal, if the next pulse is already transmitted, so then so the receiver which is here, so it will going to confuse whether it is again whatever the next pulse is transmitted, it may be because of this reflected wave, again it will interrupt and it will come back. So that's why, so that echo signal will get that interfere by the reflected wave, and that will be given with the wrong distance measurement. So that's why, so this pulse repetition frequency should be maintained properly. If it is too high, so that means the repetition of pulses is very fast, so and the reflected signal is not arrived before the transmission of next pulse, so then the ambiguity occurs and the mismatch of this measurement will happen. Okay, so that will be the problem which occurs if the pulse repetition frequency is too high. Okay, so now what is this pulse repetition frequency? So the number of pulses whatever we going to transmit, so over a designated period. Okay, so if some period is there, over that period, so we need to transmit these many number of pulses. If you transmit more number of pulses with the designated period, then it will be a, so this problem occurs, that is range ambiguity occurs. So then you will going to fail what is exactly the range of the target. Okay, so that is the problem if the pulse repetition frequency is too high. So now the whichever the echo signal, that the echo in the sense the reflected signal, so some echo signals which will arrive after the transmission of next pulse. As I said, so series of pulses if you going to send, so if the next pulse which will going to transmit, so the echoes which are arrive after the transmission of the next pulse, which are called as second time around echoes. Okay, or even if the multiple transmitted signals are already multiple transmitted pulses which are already transmitted, so then the echo signal which are coming from the the interference of this transmitted signal or from the target, which will be called it as multiple time around echoes. Okay, so the range beyond which target appears as a second time around echo. So that means before transmission of the before receiving the echo signal, if the transmitted pulse is already transmitted, so that will call it as second time around echo. And the range beyond which this the target which appears as a second time around echo is called as the maximum unambiguous range. So that means, so the range is there, some the target which is placed or which is there. So before the echo signal arrives, if the transmitted pulse is going, and the target which will be acts as a second time around echo, that due to that problem, so we cannot able to exactly get the target. So the range which in which the target appear, so which is second time around echo, which is called as maximum unambiguous range. So beyond this range we cannot able to get the target. So with this range we can able to get the target. So within this range, so if it is target it is there, we can able to detect. So then that second time around echo we can able to so avoid that. So before the transmission of next pulse itself, the echo signal will going to arrive at the receiver. So this is the range at which maximum, so range at which the target can be, within that the target can be so detected. Okay, so this will be the unambiguous range, that is C by 2 into Fp. So Fp is the pulse repetition frequency. Okay, C is the velocity of light, so this we know. So now the pulse compression, so some anyhow we going to modulate the signal whatever the pulse will going to transmit. So that modulated signal which will going to transmit from the transmitter, and whatever the reflected signal which will be reflected back. So now this pulse carrier so might be frequency or phase modulated. So as I said, ASK, FSK or PSK, whatever you have done in the lab. So similarly, so this frequency or phase modulated, that pulse carriers can be frequency or phase modulated, so to permit the echo signal to be compressed. So because if you modulate the signal using high frequency carrier, so the whatever the pulse, whatever we going to transmit as a modulating signal or pulse, that will going to compress so in time. So in the, so whatever you will going to transmit, like this is the our the transmitted signal, by using high frequency carrier we will going to the frequency modulate like this. Okay, so then we can able to compress the signal, so that will be call it as pulse compression. Okay, so in time, so after reception of this echo signal, so that will be having a very good high range resolution. And this will be, if you do this pulse compression, so then you'll be having a high range resolution. So you can see the unambiguous range, so which will be plotted with respect to pulse repetition frequency. So if the pulse repetition frequency, if it is going to increase, so you can see here the range will be going to decrease, that unambiguous range, because you cannot able to detect properly if the echo signal itself it is not received, if you already transmitted next pulse, so it will be obviously the target cannot be able to detect properly. So that's why the range which will going to reduce if you go on increasing the pulse repetition frequency. Okay, so now even continuous waveforms, so as I said the pulses we are using, so even we can use the continuous waveform also to transmit the signal. And using the Doppler shift effect or Doppler frequency shift, we can able to separate the received echo from the transmitted signal. Okay, so even in continuous form also, some of the radars which is designed, that is FMCW radar, frequency modulated continuous wave, and even other continuous wave radars also there, so we will see. Okay, so instead of the pulses we can able to transmit the continuous waveform also. Okay, so now coming to the what is the simple equation which can be able to so calculate the power or whatever range, or even can calculate the received power, transmitted power, like that. So some equation is required. Okay, the we are going to see what is the simple form of the radar equation. Okay, So now the radar equation relates to the range. So that is a primary importance, the range. Okay. So if you have the transmitting antenna, so which is isotropic, okay, and if you have the radar which is having range, which is related to the target's characteristics and also the transmitter, receiver, and the environment. Okay. So this radar equation simply depends on these parameters. Okay. The simple form of this radar equation depends on these characteristics, that is transmitting antenna, receiving antenna, and even receiver power, and that that is received signal power, and whatever the target characteristics like size, shape, and all. So that will exactly, so we cannot able to detect in the simple form. So that will be, so many other factors are there, but we'll see what is the simple form just by finding out the, so target range. Okay. So if, say for example, if the power of the radar transmitter is denoted by pt, and if the isotropic antenna is used, so this equation you already know. So the power density, so vector, which is given by the transmitted by power by the area of the sphere which is enclosed by this transmitter, so which will give given by pt by 4 pi r square. So this r is, so which will be the radius of this whatever the sphere enclosed. Okay. So that will be called it as maximum range of the target. Okay. So if you use the isotropic antenna, so now if you employ the directive antenna, because we need the range resolution very clearly, and we need to detect the proper target with the proper range, so we use the directive antennas. So you know already what is directive antenna. With respect to isotropic antenna, the directivity will be increased. So you can see the, so if the isotropic antenna, so it will uh, radiates the power isotropically, so in all direction. If the directive antenna, if it is there, so it will only at particular direction it will going to direct the energy or radiate the energy. So this directivity, so we need to use for the radar to get the better range resolution. Okay. So if the radar employs this directive antenna, so then we have to multiply this gain of this directive antenna. Okay. So that is called as g, so which will be called it as the gain of the antenna. So you know already the equation for gain and directivity. So gain will be equal to efficiency into directivity. So if the directivity which is increased, the gain also it will increase. So based on this directivity, the equation provides here the gain. Okay. So with respect to this isotropic antenna, so the gain which is included here, so if the radar employs the directive antenna. Okay. So from the transmitter, if you use the antenna which is directive, we can write the equation, this one. Okay. So now if we have the target which is having the shape and size from some from the distance which is 4 pi r square, so then we can uh, put the target's specification also. So what is the radar cross section? It is the amount of the incident power intercepted by the target and re-radiated back in the direction of the radar. Generally this target it will reflect in all direction, but whatever the radiated power which is back to the radar or receiver, so that will be called it as radar cross section, which is sigma. Okay. So now power density with considering this echo signal or whatever the reflected signal from the target, so that will be multiplied to get the power density at the receiver. Okay, or radar. So power density of the echo signal, so at the radar we can take it as this one, because this will be defined it as the echo signal or re-radiated power. Okay, sigma. So radar cross section, and divided by 4 pi r square, because the same distance which is the reflected signal also travel. Okay. So this is ptg by 4 pi r square into sigma by 4 pi r square. So now this radar cross section which is having the, actually it is having the area, so that's why it is measured in meter square. Okay. So it decides the characteristics, that is size and shape of the target. The shape, so that will be very important parameter, that will be considering many other factors to define, so that will be seen later. Okay. So it decides the the size of the target seen by the radar. Okay, the sigma radar cross section. So now the radar antenna, so which captures the portion of the echo power. Okay, so from this target which will be so getting the echo signal power. So if the effective area of the receiving antenna, whatever the antenna effective area, either you can use a dish antenna or you can use other array antenna or whatever it is, so that will be having effective aperture. So what is meant by effective aperture? The area which will be having, so which will be effectively received or transmitted power. Okay, the power which will going to radiate from that portion of the area, so of the antenna, that will be called it as effective area. So in order to get the received power at the receiving side or radar, so we need to include that effective aperture of the receiving antenna. So now if you multiply that AE, that effective aperture, then you will get the received power of the antenna. So generally, so this is the simple form of the radar equation, which will be consisting all the parameters. Okay, so transmitter power, the gain of the transmitting antenna, and the effective aperture of the receiving antenna, and the size or the radar cross section of the target, which decides the parameters of the target, and the range, whatever the transmitted signal and received signal range. So this is the distance. Okay, so this contains all the parameters, so where simple form of the equation we can able to so develop. Okay, so now by uh, putting all these parameters, we'll get it as PTG into AE sigma by 4 pi r square into r power 4. So now we know the equation for AE, so in terms of gain. Okay, so you know the gain equation in terms of the effective aperture, which is 4 pi AE by lambda square. Okay, okay, AE by lambda square. So now AE we can able to so rearrange by using this G lambda square by 4 pi. Okay, so this you can put it here. So in terms of AE, whatever the equation which is in terms of gain, so then you can get the another form of the equation. Okay, so if you put that equation, so you will get another equation, so that will be, we can find it out what is PR here. Okay, PT G into, so whatever effective area, so we can able to put it G lambda square divided by 4 pi. Okay, into sigma, so this divided by 4 pi square into r power 4. Okay, so now you can see, so 4 pi, so it is common factor and you send it to denominator, so we will get PR, which is equal to PT G into lambda square, and this is G square, so G into G. So why? Because if you use the same antenna as a transmitter as well as the receiver, so then you can put the G into G square, because the gain of the transmitting and receiving antenna which is used as same, so that we can put it as same gain. Okay, so PT G square lambda square into sigma, so this divided by the 4 pi whole cube into r power 4. Okay, so now this is the simple form of the radar equation. So now, so this is the range where the target going to be so detected. So now for which minimum signal, that is which the received minimum received power, so where the range it can be the detected by the range at which the target is detected, that will be called it as minimum signal power. So okay, or minimum detectable signal. So where the power, the received power, which is minimum received power in which the target can be detected, so that will be called it as minimum detectable signal. So that you can rewrite it as, so you can send this PR to this side and range you can send it to this side, so you will get the range at which the minimum signal is detectable. Okay, so that is called as the maximum radar range. Okay, the maximum radar range can be so calculated or can able to estimate by using the minimum detectable signal. Okay, so at which the minimum echo power we can able to receive at the receiver. Okay, so this is a maximum radar range, so the distance beyond which the target cannot be detected, because this is the minimum signal which can able to detect at the receiver. Okay, so this is the maximum, the range in which the target can be detected. So as I said, the relation with effective aperture and gain of the antenna, so effective area or effective aperture we can call it as for the antenna. And you can see here another two forms, so even you can put the value of AE in terms of the other lambda square, lambda and all, we can able to put it, or you can put the gain in terms of the effective aperture, you will get this equation. Okay, so you can see here, so here there is no lambda here. Okay, but here it is the lambda which is proportional to the range, here it is independent of lambda. Okay, independent of lambda in this equation. So if you take this equation, this r is proportional to lambda power half, and if you take in this equation, r is proportional to the lambda power, that is whatever, if you divide it, 1 over lambda power half. So that means, so you can see here it is independent of lambda in this equation, and in this equation it is proportional to square root of lambda, and here it is inversely proportional to lambda. So that's why, so whenever you put the substitution of other parameters in this equation, it is not like that it is not independent of lambda or dependent of lambda. So which parameters you will going to find, and so in which scenario you are going to find the target, so that will be important, and which equations you need to use, that will be so taken into consideration. So that means, so if it is, say for example, if you take this one, it is completely independent of lambda, means if you whatever you transmit the signal, you have to detect the target, so that is not possible. Okay, so this only by using these parameters we can able to also get the range, that is the meaning. Okay, it is not like that it is independent of lambda. Okay, only by using these parameters we can also get the value of the range. Okay, so that is the meaning. And also here also, so the by using these parameters we can able to get the maximum range of the target. Okay, so this is about the radar equation. So we will going to discuss other parameters and other concepts in the next class. Okay, so any doubt in this? Hello.